Shrimati Nirmala Sitharaman to reply the combined discussion on Jammu and Kashmir Appropriation Number 3 Bill 2024 and the Appropriation Number 2 Bill 2024, which was completed yesterday, and the discussion on the Finance Number 2 Bill 2024. Honorable Finance Minister.
Thank you very much, sir. So have you, just as you've rightly pointed out, it is a reply which is addressing those points which have been raised during the debate on three different bills. One is the Jammu Kashmir Appropriation Bill number 3, and also the Appropriation Bill number 2, which has come from the Rajya Sabha, together with the Finance Bill 2024. So the Appropriation Bill of the Union Government and also of the Union Territory has been discussed since yesterday. I will respond to individual members who have raised their views on the subject. But broadly, keeping in line with the vote on account budget which was passed in February, the budget of 2024, presented on July 23rd, 2024, highlights and continues the feature that capital expenditure will be sustained, as was indicated earlier, at 11.11 lakh crores. And this will include 1.50 lakh crores, which will be given as capital assistance for the states, financial assistance to the states for capital expenditure, which is interest-free for 50 years. So actually 11 lakh crore itself is a big number, but if we look at the effective capital expenditure, that is, when our capital expenditure and also the money given to the state as grant and aid for creating capital assets, in our accounts it doesn't get counted as capital, whereas in the states it gets counted as capital. So if I were to look at both the capital assets, therefore, effective capital expenditure can be pegged at 15.02 lakh crores or 18% over 23-24. So we are continuously, since after COVID, emphasizing and spending higher and higher amounts in capital expenditure, partly answers the questions which was raised by Jairam Ramesh later. I have 4 issues, you answer on them. One of this, he probably implicitly agreed that this is one engine which is anyway happening. But that engine is happening in full throttle. And as a result of which, it has a bearing on the private investment, on consumption, and in a way also helps in pumping exports. So this one big engine consistently between 2020 and today, increasing more and more amounts, actual growth between one year and the other is also on a higher graph. So it is important that we've recognized that in an economy which is COVID affected, and that in an economy which requires to stand on its own, considering the global challenges which are mounting each year. Since after COVID, you had one war, then a second war, and both the wars have not abated. Then you have a problem in the Red Sea. Then you also have a problem of the global currency markets, and also the Japanese carry trade business, which has affected the trust in the global markets and so on. All of this are growing in the number of challenges that India has to face. We can always say global challenge and leave it at that. But each one of the challenge has an impact on India. And despite that, since after COVID, with this emphasis given on capital expenditure, whose multiplier effect, whose traction is so much in the economy, which is an established theory that you spend on capital and you reap the benefit of sustained growth. Whereas if you spend on revenue, you don't get that kind of a return. That is what is the multiplier effect. And that multiplier effect has sustained India as a fastest growing economy continuously since after COVID. And we shall be the fastest growing economy even this year. And that's not just me saying, global observers have said. So this route that Prime Minister Modi has clearly identified has one of the very tested, fine route for countries like India is standing by us in not only meeting domestic challenge of reviving the economy after COVID, but meeting the global increasing number of challenges. So I want to clearly place emphasis on this. And in that, we are not doing it all on our own. We are making states also take up capital expenditure by giving them interest-free 50-year loans, which eventually will be treated probably as grants only. So states are now being able to strengthen their capital expenditure, and many states are completing long-pending projects or taking up newer projects, as a result of which economy around it is getting enough traction. So I want to, while saying that, I also want to clearly put on record that the total resources proposed for transfer to states in 24-25 is estimated to be 22.91 lakh crores. It entails an increase of about 2.49 lakh crores over 23-24. So there is an increase between last year and this year, and this is the range at which we are devolving resources to the states. Similarly, outlays for all union territories have increased from 61,118 crore last year to 68,660 crore this year. This is for all the UTs for this year. So I've also announced a slew of measures aimed at adding employment, because employment intensity to India's growth story is a very critical component, and through renewed impetus being given to manufacturing sector. I had detailed the various steps that we had taken for supporting manufacturing sector, but very clearly the manufacturing sector and its contribution, which I'll explain in a minute more, proves that these policies that we've taken up to support manufacturing is actually paying good rewards. So overall, the aim is at boosting domestic employment opportunities, ensuring high and sustainable growth in India's share to the global GDP over the next 5 years. There were a lot of concerns expressed even when we were discussing the budget speech, general discussions, about have you cut down on resources being given to the social sector? I would want to take this opportunity once again. I did it last time. I'll say it now as well. I seek your permission for it, sir. Agriculture and allied sectors. We have not cut down. On the contrary, more is being given. 1.44 lakh crores was the allocation last year. This time it's gone to 1.52 lakh crores. 8,000 crore more than the last year. And 1.22 lakh crore more than the BE of 13-14. Education, employment, and skilling, very important sector, sir. 85,000 crore was the allocation in 2013-14. Last year it was 1.20 lakh crore. This year it is 1.48 lakh crores. So 23% more allocation, that is 28,000 crores more than the last year. Women and child girls. I did hear quite a few honorable members speak saying allocation for women is not substantial. I'm afraid not, sir. It is substantial. 96,000 crore it was in 2013-14. Last year it was 2.31 lakh crore. This year it is 3.27 lakh crores. 41% 96% more allocation, or 96,000 crores more than last year. So rural development, including infrastructure, had 87,000 crores in 2013-14, whereas last year it had 2.38 lakh crores. This year it is 2.66 lakh crore, 11.7% more allocation, that is 28,000 crore more than the last year. Urban development, sir, which is important for many of the cities which expect to grow because the population is also growing in them. 12,000 crores was the amount in 2013-14. In 23-24, 76,000 crore. Now it has gone up to 83,000 crore, 7,000 crore more than the last year. Health and social welfare, sir, on which a lot of members have expressed concern. 72,000 crores it was in 2013-14. It was in the last year 1.43 lakh crores. Now it's gone to 1.46 lakh crore, 3,000 crore more than last year. So in a nutshell, the union budget this year balances several overriding imperatives: growth, employment, welfare spending, capital investments, and fiscal consolidation. We've tried to balance all these without compromising on any one sector, and I'm glad to say, eventually, even on fiscal consolidation, we've kept our word up, the word given in 21, that there will be a glide path for fiscal deficit management, and that has been kept up. We have kept the word, and therefore, the balancing of these very...
Honorable members, it is now 6 p.m. If the House so agrees, we may sit beyond 6 p.m. today till disposal of the appropriation bills and the Finance Bill number 2, Bill 2024, and special mentions. Do I have leave of the House to extend the sitting beyond 6 p.m.? Honorable Finance Minister, please continue.
Thank you, sir. So we've tried balancing all these overriding imperatives, and I think if honorable members would recognize that given our constraints, we have tried maintaining the balance, and we've, I would think, succeeded in maintaining that balance. Sir, the creation of the internship opportunities that we've brought in for first-time job seekers and the skill development, I would think, very critical this year, leading towards the first few steps leading towards Vikasit Bharat in 2047. Sir, augmentation of the social sector spending with a thrust on human development and comprehensive social security, particularly for the disadvantaged sections of our society, is something which I'll again draw your attention. So the two guiding principles, if I can summarize it that way, are social inclusivity of people from all strata and equitable development of all regions by adopting a whole-of-nation approach. And that is what I think would address the high aspirations and expectation of our people. So if I can quickly summarize on the budget for Jammu and Kashmir, sir, the important point which I would place on record, which people who have gone through the budget will realize, that the health, fiscal health of the state is coming on the groove from where it was earlier. It required a lot of management by the administration. We have definitely taken the burden of managing the state police's expenditure, and substantial financial support for a state of 17,000 crore in this budget has been extended. As a result of these kind of steps that we've taken, sitting with the UT Jammu Kashmir authorities, I can tell you that the fiscal deficit of the GSDP is estimated to fall to about 3% in 24-25, which is remarkable, I would think, and I would appreciate the officials who are managing the economy in J&K to have completely removed the legacy problems that they had and to get the economy on course I think they have done remarkable, very detailed, going into detail kind of a work, and J&K administration therefore requires one word of appreciation from this august House. So broadly with these summary remarks on the appropriation bill and also Jammu and Kashmir, I would like to come to the first section of responding to honorable members who have spoken on the J&K appropriation and also on the appropriation bill of our budget this year, before I talk on the finance bill related observations of honorable members. Sir, Honorable Member Digvijay Singh had raised quite a few concerns. I can't see him here, but the issues that he raised quite a few points. Largely, I thought were coming from the political interpretation of what he sees through the budget process, but three of which I want to respond to, sir. First of all, he seemed to be impressed by the global hunger index. It is, and I've said this in this House earlier, also in the Lok Sabha, it's a flawed index. Their calculation is completely inexplicable. They can't stand up and say why it is so for some countries, why it is slightly different for some other countries. If I would just lay the examples before you and therefore say why I am questioning it as a flawed index, that will explain enough to answer Honorable Member Digvijay Singh. So conflict-ridden countries like Sudan, Malawi, Burkina Faso, and Mali are all higher than us in the index. Pakistan too is higher than us in the index. Nothing wrong with countries being above us if they have to be there, and I don't grudge it. But then they are higher than us, knowing very well the economies there have serious basic problems. The index does not explain as to how these countries are higher. And when we say we've taken care of feeding the poorest of the poor and not getting into the numbers because they would say, oh, 80 crore of your people are poor. I'm not getting into that. But ensuring that nobody remains hungry, we have ensured distributing grains for 80 crore people since 2020. And it seems that the global hunger index has not taken that on board. Whereas when people are standing, the poorest of poor people are standing for corn and starch flour in Mali, in queues, and also for atta in Pakistan, that economy seems to be defeating global hunger index lower rankings and going up, whereas we are put somewhere below. So I would want to highlight to Honorable Member Digvijay Singh that you please question based on studies that you do in this country, and we are willing to answer, but this index is flawed. Global hunger index is flawed. Now, the recent report, National Family Health Survey, that is 2019-2021, the nutrition indicators for children under 5-year-old have improved compared with NFHS 4. This is NFHS 5 that we are talking about. NFHS 4, which was the period to which it relates is 2015-16, whereas this one that I'm talking about is 2019-21. Stunting has reduced from 38.4% to 35.5% in India. Wasting among children, wasting has reduced from 21.0% to 19.3%. Underweight prevalence has reduced from 35.8% to 32.1%. These are very, very riveted numbers, which if we have to remove and bring them lower, a lot of effort is required. These are very, very entrenched numbers. But now these numbers are showing that there is a clear sign of coming down. It is because of nutrition reaching these families, and therefore this hunger index has got to be reviewed, and I wouldn't want Honorable Member Digvijay Singh to rely so much on a flawed index. Sir, the next issue that he also highlighted was net financial household savings are lowest. So I want to highlight the fact that country is witnessing a lot of change in terms of smart portfolio diversification. Small savings are also finding portfolios which are giving them better returns. So they may not be sitting in a post office, or they may not be sitting in a public sector bank, a savings account, or small-time fixed deposit. They are finding different portfolios which are giving us probably better returns. Every individual decides for themselves. They are also investing in property and property improvements. So they may be living in a small house which has a bedroom and a kitchen and so on. Now they are investing in making one more additional room to their houses. So money is going not into the deposit, sometimes it is going for asset creation. Those don't get counted at all. And even better, sir, when we were talking about rationalizing capital gains tax, the number of people who came back to say, why are you now even bringing in a small increase in the futures and options, the trading that happens in futures and options? And I was surprised when people who told me were very middle-class people. I said, futures and options? You'd expect people who have that kind of a disposable income to trade in futures and options. But people have become smarter. They are able to make sense of it. They're better informed, even probably to put money there and get smaller returns for themselves. And therefore, today, small saving is alone not the portfolio. People have found different portfolios which are helping them. So I need to highlight the fact that financial household savings today will have to include, when you're counting that, you will have to include the other portfolios which are available for small families. So growth in housing sales in cities has been particularly impressive, indicating that urban households are diversifying the deployment of their savings. In 2023, residential real estate sales in India were at their highest since 2013, witnessing a 33% year-on-year growth with a total sale of 4.1 lakh units in top 8 cities. So people are moving to thinking in terms of having their savings become investment into properties and also into portfolios which give them better returns. So I want that fact to be taken on board by Sri Honorable Digvijay Singh. Third, sir, he spoke about unemployment is increasing, labor-intensive sectors like textile sector is being ignored, which is not the case, sir. And he did say only in this budget you're supporting textiles and leather, but not earlier. That is not true. Quite a few years we've been sustaining our interest and making sure that support is extended through various different ways for labor-intensive sectors. While I can go about telling about what is the periodic labor force survey saying on how the employment numbers are going up, unemployment coming down, but I will use this example of supporting women in the workplace, which we have done, which is showing result. So if women's data is improving, you can safely assume that men's data equally is going up. If I were to say the reverse, it may not be holding good. But female enrollment in higher education has increased by 32% since 2014-15. Women's labor force participation has risen to 37% in 22-23 from 23.3% in 17-18. This increased participation of women in the labor force has reversed the steady decline that was observed during the UPA era. To sustain this momentum, this budget has allocated more than 3 lakh crores to schemes benefiting women and girls. Also, sir, in collaboration with industry, we will set up working women's hostels, establish creches, organize women-specific skilling programs, and promote market access for women SHG entrepreneurs. So, Honorable Member Digvijay should actually look at various different sources before he has reasons to believe what he said, sir. I would direct his attention towards that. So I've tried, therefore, to address issues raised on unemployment by very many different members. I'm not naming them. I have a list here. Social sector public spending. And also, I think even during the budget speech, I did say that concern of few members that attention is going only to some states and not other states. I think I've dispelled that, but these issues have been addressed. Now I come to talking about the finance bill, sir. I'll give a brief opening remark and then go to talking about specific issues which honorable members have raised. So this finance bill has actually very clear route. It's ambitious. We've tried to create a taxation system that is simple, that is equitable, and easy to administer. The system that recognizes the efforts of the taxpayer in nation building. So we trust the taxpayer and we want to give him or her a simplified taxation scheme of things. So the revenue proposals which have been brought in here focus on two areas. Ease for taxpayers by simplifying tax laws and procedures, and also facilitation for growth and employment. So largely the debate on finance bill has been confined to you're not doing enough for the middle class. So I just want to highlight the specific steps in this budget and also the one before, actually also inclusive of the fiscal measures that have been taken in the finance bill. So in 2023, the slabs for personal income tax were significantly liberalized under the new regime. All taxpayers had a reduced tax liability of up to 37,500 crores last year. This government has again revised the slab in the new regime this time also. And that was explained earlier also. I will recall it. 17,500 rupees is the effective relief for the salaried class. Standard deduction for salaried employees has also been increased from 50,000 to 75,000 in this finance bill. Deduction on family pension for pensioners is proposed to be enhanced from 15,000 to 30,000 rupees. For salaried employees, deduction on employers' contribution in case of employees in private sector, which was missing all these years. Public sector employees had it, but private sector employees will get it now. And public sector banks opting for new tax regime has been raised from 10% to 14% in this budget. So I just want to highlight the facts, sir. Compared with very many developed economies, which have actually increased the tax rates, despite the pressure from COVID times, we have actually reduced the burden on middle class substantially. Effective tax, sir, on an income of 15 lakhs is reduced to 10% in 2023 under the new regime and has been further reduced this year. So I want that number to be clear for people who are earning 15 lakhs since the last budget to this one. The effective tax is only 10%. So this is a clear middle class friendly approach by using the new tax regime. Sir, even as I was coming here, in the afternoon, I had a young journalist tell me, "Ma'am, thank you very much." I said, "For what?" She said, "I got my refund this time within a week." The former CBDT chairman is here, reporting to you, as you said yesterday, reporting to you. Refunds have been systematically in the last few years one of the biggest things which the CBDT has handled. And continuously from last 3 years, we are each year improving our performance. That today, I had this young journalist tell me I was anyway going to tell the honorable members of this House that from 93 days in 2013-14, the time which took for refunds to reach people, it is today only 10 days. You pay the tax within 10 days, you get the refund that is due to you. I would also like to remind, sir, from the days of tax terrorism and rent seeking, today we have a faceless regime which has infused confidence in the minds of the taxpayer. And we trust the taxpayer in that he should just fill up the pre-filled forms which comes to him and his returns are filed. We also periodically come up with Vivad Se Vishwas schemes which are aimed at reducing litigation so that all the pending litigation can be cleared and demands also can be removed. So this has brought relief to a lot of taxpayers, particularly the MSMEs, individuals and small corporations. Sir, this budget, small, old, petty and unverified tax demands of 90 lakh taxpayers were removed from the records as announced in the interim budget 2024. 90 lakh taxpayers pending demands, unverified tax demands have all been removed. Actually, this corresponds to 1.1 crore entities. So that's the kind of relief, and this largely benefits the middle class. Angel tax was removed, sir. I don't need to go into it. It was brought in 2012. We tried doing several things to make it softer rather than that kind of a exploitative tax, which is what was the Congress party's description of angel tax was. They brought it in so they should know about it, and they said it is exploitative. We have removed it. So, sir, we've also announced in this budget a comprehensive review of the Income Tax Act in this budget. It's not going to be forever. 6 months is the time I've given them. Within 6 months, we should have a simplified version, which after due consideration will obviously be brought to this House and members will be briefed on it and the approval will be sought. Sir, a monetary limit for filing appeals related to direct taxes have also been enhanced so that small amounts, small demands are not getting too frequently going on appeals. So whether you're going in front of the tax tribunal, high courts or Supreme Court, the amounts have been enhanced. 60 lakh is the amount now, which was earlier 50 lakhs for the tax tribunals, 2 crore for the High Court now, earlier it was 1 crore, and 5 crores to the Supreme Court, earlier it was 2 crores respectively. So this will, I hope, reduce litigation and promote ease of doing business. Sir, there are also one very good news I want to say. As a consequence of the proposed upward revision of monetary limits in Finance Bill 2024, which is what I explained a minute ago, a total of 7,754 appeals, 1,044 appeals pertaining to indirect taxation, and about 6,710 appeals of direct tax are likely to be withdrawn from the various judicial fora, whether it is Supreme Court, High Court, or SESTAT, or ITAT. We are going to withdraw all of them. So that will directly give relief to a lot of small businesses and middle class people. This is about direct taxation, sir. Just quick 2 points on the indirect taxation. On the customs side, we aim to boost domestic production and enhance export competitiveness by reducing duties on raw materials, inputs particularly for the labor-intensive sectors, so that their products can become cost-effective. Rate cuts on certain inputs for labor-intensive industries, such as leather and textile sector, is also noteworthy, sir. Exemption and reduction on 27 critical minerals, such as lithium, cobalt, etc., have been brought in because we want to strengthen our strategic autonomy. Duty rate cuts on precious metals. That was also one of the questions which some honorable members said, why do you want to cut duty on platinum and whereas you're increasing it elsewhere? We're not increasing anywhere. But platinum we had to because it is part of the gems and jewelry trade, which is of a big export earning. So it is not just the platinum, but because it moves along with precious metals, we had to deal with platinum this time. So bringing it down is along with gold, because normally because of certain blending of precious metals, platinum also goes with that basket of precious metals. So on the capital gains, I think much has been said, much has been heard. I just want to say one line. We did receive a lot of representations post our budget, which was presented on 23rd July, particularly for long-term capital gains without indexation, which is what we've brought in at 12.5%. But then, having heard a lot of inputs which have come from people, we have brought in a government amendment and changed that. So the current tax proposal for land and building assets acquired by individuals and HUF before 23rd July 2024, it stipulates that in the case of transfer of a long-term capital asset, being land or building or both, by an individual or HUF, which is acquired before 23rd July 2024, the taxpayer can compute his taxes under the new scheme, that is 12.5% without indexation, and old scheme 20% with indexation, and pay such tax which is lower of the two. So we are giving the option to the taxpayer. You try working out the numbers through this scheme without indexation, 12.5%, or you go through with indexation at 20% and see which is going to give you the lower rate, and do pay your tax only on the lower rate. So we have given that option to the assessee, and I think this is a very progressive, looking forward kind of a approach in dealing with the inputs which we have received from people. This ensures, sir, that no one faces additional tax burden due to this change. Furthermore, rollover benefits remain unchanged from the earlier provisions. What is rollover benefit? Rollover benefits allows taxpayers to defer the payment of capital gains tax by reinvesting the proceeds from the sale of an asset into another specified asset within a specific time frame. Whether it's another one or two, he can invest, and up to 10 crores that is entertained. So that rollover facility again softens the attempt of tax, the long-term capital gains tax on the middle class. This means homeowners have an option to reinvest their proceeds up to 10 crores in another property without paying the long-term capital gains tax with specified conditions under Section 54. So I'll now come to the much talked about health insurance, the GST on it. I did mention in detail in the Lok Sabha when I spoke about it, but I will say it for the honourable members who have raised it in this August House as well. Sir, it was a bit disappointing to see a matter which is entirely in the realm of GST Council is... Sorry?
Are you yielding?
No, sir. I'm speaking, sir. Sir, actually, it is in the realm of the GST Council. No way by protesting here or telling that the finance minister should do it, the seriousness of what we are talking can be missed out. The seriousness of
protest is substituted for reflecting.
Sir.
In this House, we reflect and contribute.
And therefore, I would like to give the facts before this August House, sir. The point is, I had to say this and I will say it. Before GST 2, medical insurance premiums were taxed. I have quite a few voices which tell me, oh, so, are you saying it was there then and you won't do anything about it? No. But I need to answer those issues which pretend to believe that it is all a sin which has come after GST has come in. I'm sorry, sir. It existed before GST. Let's address each one of the issues. I'm not here to justify this way or that way. Let the GST Council take a call now that they've heard all of us speak about it. But let us also not look the other way when the facts are before us. GST came in 2017. Prior to GST coming in, every state levied taxes on the premium collected on insurance. Let's concede that first. Let's have that before us. And if it is before us, would you now say, oh, because of GST and Modi brought this, how heartless are you? I'm sorry, hang on. Even in the GST Council after 2017, 3 times this issue was discussed. 31st meeting on 22nd December 2018. Again, the GST Council, which is 37th meeting, which happened on 20th September 2019. And 47th meeting, which happened in June 2022. This issue has been taken up by the GST Council. And who are the members who are sitting in the GST Council, sir? The finance ministers of every state. And together, all the states' finance ministers hold 2/3 voting power in the GST Council, and the central government, with the chair, has 1/3. So the decisions that are taken there are taken with inputs from every state finance minister. They can belong to any party. So my question is, honorable members who protested with placards here, I want to ask, did they write letters to their own finance ministers to say, hey, what are you doing? Why did you not take this up in GST Council? Much before I go to Delhi and scream about it, I want you as a representative of my party running this government in this state to make sure that the GST Council will only take a decision which we want. What stopped any one of them to do that there? To just make sure an opportunity which came by their side because some minister wrote a letter and somebody who was a part of the delegation who, without the permission of the minister, put it out in public domain. And then, with due respects, everybody comes in, inclusive of some chief ministers, to say, oh yeah, I'm also supporting that. You should now withdraw it to the finance minister, who's a chair there, all right, but part of the GST Council. I wish individual states, chief ministers or members of parliament write to their respective finance minister and say, go now. Make sure the next GST Council meeting takes this up. No, they didn't do this. हिंदी में जो बोलते हैं, राजनीतिक रोटी सेकने के लिए इधर खड़े हो जाओ. और वो निर्मला सीतारामन, वो मोदी जी, ये क्या तरीका है? मिडिल क्लास उनके हेल्थ प्रीमियम के ऊपर अब जीएसटी कलेक्ट कर रही हो, एंड ऊपर से 25,000 crores. No, sir, I am not yielding. I heard all of them.
One second.
ऊपर से.
One second. He has a point of order. Point of order. No.
Sir,
she's not yielding. She's not yielding.
Sir, I'll finish this, and with your permission, I'll hear all of them. With your permission, I'll hear all of them once I finish this.
Okay.
आधा अधूरा नहीं चाहिए. I'll seek your permission, sir. Sir.
If not all, those who are willing to make contribution. Otherwise, you have to hear all of them.
I'll leave it to you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, then there was this whole report which was based on some kind of a parliament reply or RTI or whatever, which got carried in a newspaper also. 24,529 crores have been collected. GST was collected on medical insurance. 24,000. The center pocketed it, was the headline of that news.
24,000?
24,529 crores were collected as medical insurance premium. And this is pocketed by the center. Even today, honorable members, when they spoke, they said, this is daylight robbery. I heard 3 honorable members say, daylight robbery. I want with due respects to submit, sir. We may agree with a particular taxation, we may agree with a particular rate in a particular taxation which has been on a particular item, or we may not agree. But that is a constitutional body, as much as the Parliament here. They have in their wisdom taken a call. We may agree, we may not agree, we may go and say, no, this is wrong, you will reconsider. But to call it daylight robbery, sir, in which their own finance ministers are sitting, sir, and with their signature it has been cleared, sir. Daylight robbery, constitutionally formed GST council में daylight robbery हो रही है, sir. और वो बात इस सदन में बोला जा रहा है. I'm sorry, we need to look at what is going on. Sir, 24,529 crores have been collected. All right. 50% goes straight away to the states. The rest 50% comes to us. And the rest 50% may say, again 41% goes to the states. So, if I have to bring it down simplistically, if 100 rupees is collected, first 50 rupees goes off to the states. Mera hissa another 50%. Usme se be 41% is given, meaning some 21 rupees 09, whatever, let us say, round it to 21 only, if not 22. 50 plus 21, 71 rupees आपके हाथ में रखे हुए, इधर बात कर रही हो, मोदी, सेंटर, 24,000 ले लिया आपने, medical insurance. Let us have some, I don't know if I'm using the right word, सबर रखें, right? थोड़ा सबर रखें जी, अध्ययन करो जी, उसके बाद का बात करो जी, मैं जवाब देती हूं. अरे आकाश में से उड़ा दिया नंबर. और जीएसटी का एलोकेशन किस तरीके से होता है, इसको समझना चाहिए. सीधा इधर आपके ही फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर को बाईपास करते हुए पूरा पार्लियामेंट के ऊपर हमला. Parliament cannot bypass GST Council and say, oh, acha. They also, then some people come saying, bring in this finance bill an amendment that this 18% will be brought down. Constitutional impropriety. There is a GST Council. उनका निर्णय करने वाले वो सब्जेक्ट के ऊपर आप इधर करने के लिए आ रहे हो भाई. प्लीज थोड़ा प्रोसेस समझ लें. Sir, and I'll humbly submit, sir, not only are the finance ministers of every state is sitting to take the final call on every rate which is determined on items, there is a fitment committee which looks into these things much before it comes to the council, before the ministers. The fitment committee is not made up of anybody which we choose. They are officers. It's full of officers. But every state is represented in one way or the other, sometimes some states, some others. This time, the current fitment committee in the GST Council has members from several states, and particularly from West Bengal, from Tamil Nadu, from Karnataka. They're all there in it. Fitment committee which decides on the matter of tax rates, before it comes to the GST Council, wherein again ministers are seated.
According to you, in this committee, according to you, in this committee, the representation is not of all states, but of some.
Selected. It's always in every committee selected states. And equal representation.
And in the current one, they were the members. Okay.
No, current one, they are members also. Sir.
Okay, I'll give opportunity. So, I'll tell you, Honorable Finance Minister, this is an issue on which there is need to be clarity. You are making a point impactfully, and will allow members after you have concluded,
that you've already
and
said.
Then you'll have a right.
That you already said, sir. So, if I've named 3 states, it's not as if I'm ignoring the others. I'll give you the example. Current representation in the current fitment committee has Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Bihar, Haryana, UP, MP, and West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka.
Okay, they are
so it is not as if it is only some states and some others. And this Whitman committee, for all you know, was constituted much before the election results came of the states. That continues. We don't disrupt it. Sometimes it changes, sometimes it doesn't. So the Whitman committee, consisting of officers, are there where every state, most states get represented. In another committee, somebody else, some other states will come in.
Rotation.
So in other words, I just want to say, another misunderstanding. The central government collects. No, the GST Council collects it. Immediately the amounts are disbursed, and the rest of the amount is according to the tax devolution, it goes. So that is the thing about medical insurance GST. Sir, Member Tanka, who opened the speech, Vivek Tanka, spoke about railway budget, and since after it was merged, that nostalgia of a railway budget, I can understand that. But I want to give the data for Vivek Tanka's notice that since after the subsuming of the railway budget into the main budget, allocations have not suffered. In fact, it's gone up. 2017-18, sir, post the merger, the actual expenditure budget, the capital separately, is 43,417.55 in 2017-18 crores, 52,837 crores in 18-19, and so it goes. In 2021, it crossed 1 lakh crore. Capital expenditure, I'm not talking about the other. 21-22, 11 lakh crores, something 7,270 crores. Then 15 lakh 9,256 crore. Going like that, today for 24-25, the current budget, it's 25 lakhs to 2,000 crores for capital in railways alone. So the actual is, the previous year's numbers are also there, it gets 99% utilized. So the bringing the railway budget into the general budget has not in any way made railways suffer. Sir, Vijay Sai Reddy, the honorable member, spoke about minimum bank balance. And when the balance, minimum balance has been kept, banks have been collecting penalty from account holders. So I want this to be laid clearly, that the minimum balance requirement does not apply to PM Jan Dhan account holders. It does not apply to minimum basic savings bank deposit that people hold, Jan Dhan account or the basic savings bank deposit. Both of them do not have any basic minimum balance requirement. So if they didn't have, no penalties are levied on them. No charges are applied for non-maintenance of minimum balance by the Jan Dhan accounts. In addition, banks also open basic savings bank deposit accounts where no charges are levied for opening of accounts, and in these accounts also no minimum balance is required to be maintained. Let's be clear. So not small account holders are being penalized for not having minimum balance. That should be clear. There are around 65 crore the basic savings bank account holders in this country, including of 52 crore Jan Dhan accounts. So none of them are, 65 crores are not being touched for penalizing you didn't have minimum balance in the account. So in addition to this, the minimum, the Jan Dhan account holders are also given accident insurance of 2 lakh rupees and also a RuPay card with no additional charge for the RuPay card. Overdraft facility of about 10,000 rupees is also extended to them. Not only are we not penalizing them for not having a minimum balance, but we also give them this facility. So for other types of saving accounts, of course, the banks will decide based on what their boards approve. So they are not the basic accounts, they are not the Jan Dhan accounts. So I just want to highlight it, but for whoever they collect this minimum charge breaching, meaning you didn't have a minimum balance and therefore I'm penalizing you. Information on minimum balance requirement is indicated, intimated upfront to the account holder. So it's not as if I can open a non-PM Jandan account, a non-basic whatever account, and then say you didn't tell me but you're collecting minimum. No. Upfront, I'm told your minimum balance requirement is this. You'll have to maintain it. If you don't, we'll penalize you. It is said upfront by the banks. The largest public sector bank, sir, State Bank of India, as per its board approved policy, does not apply any minimum balance charges at all. So let's put this in perspective. So then, Honorable Member Shakti Singh Gohilji had raised this issue about you increase customs on plastic used by common citizens. On the other hand, you reduce customs duty on platinum. On platinum, I've explained as to why the duty was reduced. But I want to highlight the fact that it is not on plastic that we have raised the custom duty. It's not plastic. We have raised it on the commonly used plastic item, BCD, remains unchanged. What has been raised? The basic customs duty has been increased from 10% to 25% only on PVC flex films that are used for making flex banners. Flex banners are made with flex PVC films. Only that has been, the BCD has been increased. Why did we do that, sir? In fact, many states have already banned it. Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra have already banned the use of PVC flex. PVC flex banners, sir, are non-biodegradable, and they are prone to leaching of PVC into the soil or water, and therefore they release toxic fumes. This we didn't want, and therefore we've raised only on that film, PVC film, which is used for flex. I've explained as to why platinum benefits from a duty decrease. Vijay Sai Reddy also, Honorable Member, also spoke about the STT rates and reminded that if you had capital gains, there was a promise given once, long time ago when it was introduced, that STT will be now there for some time, but if capital gains is there, STT need not be there. But today, we have kept it there because, one, we are able to trace people who are big ticket spending. It helps in tracking, and it also helps in widening the tax base. Because once you've levied a TDS or a particular tax, then when the opportunity comes to file your return, you'll anyway adjust this and file it. It's not an additional tax. But when you do this, you are able to bring people who are spending bigger amounts into the tax net. And that's why it continues. It's not for revenue considerations so much. Sir, I can't see Member Sanjay Singh, Honorable Member, who raised a lot of issues. But one or two things which I want to highlight, sir. Recovery. He expanded on haircuts, read a list of material. They are not classified material. They come out because NCLT puts it out or the resolution professional puts it out. They come out in public. We don't waive, and these are court processes. NCLT will have to stamp after the resolution professional decides on between the two parties as to how this will be executed. So recovery proceedings are part of a judicial process. The resolution plans are approved by a transparent judicial process. The defaulting promoter are not allowed to rebid for their own company so that we don't have them coming through the back door and getting it for lesser price now. These are all preventing wrong business practices. So I would like to highlight that all the details of the various cases are already available in the IBBI portal. So over and above what he read out, Honorable Member Sanjay Singh can go to the IBBI portal and take all the detail. They are there for everybody to see. IBC actually has brought in a very big shift, paradigm shift, in the debtor-creditor relationship, sir. and it provides for a streamlined one-stop solution for resolving insolvencies, keeping in mind the spirit of IBC, which this Parliament has passed, is not take company towards liquidation, keeping them as going concerns. So when you're doing that, the resolution professional arrives at a number which is going to be helping the institution to run. And let me also say, sir, most of all these are a result of what happened through the phone banking. And we are trying to come and solve these problems so that banks which suffered, the twin balance sheet problem, which was all there between 2013, 14, and to an extent even in 15, people telling us twin balance. Sorry, sir.
I gave you a good relief. Regarding phone banking,
Yes, sir.
I inquired last time, but this time I avoided asking about oil bonds. I studied it myself. So that question was not raised, at least from the chair.
Thank
so
you, sir.
What are you saying now? This is new.
Sir, I'm saying that when companies are on the verge of collapse and an IBC process brings in a resolution professional and decides the worth of the company and then puts it out for bidding or calls for tenders for the company to be taken over, the existing defaulting promoters never given a chance. After which, there are processes, like for instance, banks nowadays go through the process of giving the bad debt with a proper standard operating procedure to a company. The the name is slipping me, sir. It's a company which takes over the bad debt, gives them a paper, and after when it is all sorted out, it is put out on sale, then the bank gets the rest of its due and its account. Till then, if it hadn't happened in a RCL process, if it hadn't happened, the banks would every year have to put money in the name of provisioning till such a time that money is collected. So this myth that is being created, waiving off, writing off, no, it is a process through which banks and the burden that the banks have, burden that the banks have to provide for it, will now be actually given away to the NRCL, and NARCL then takes over that company, restores it to some order, and finds a buyer. Then the money is paid back to these companies. If this is not happening, and it is actually going in the name of liquidation, then the professional sits and sorts it out, gets the NCLT to review it, and stamps the amount which has been agreed. So there is no role of the government here. It is a court process. So I want, there are studies done by IIM Ahmedabad, which has looked at 3 years of post-resolution. Their average sales rose by 76%. Employee count recovered, and nearly pre-bankruptcy levels have been reached by most of these companies which were given off like that. Average total assets rose to about 50%, and capital expenditure has increased to 130%. So the resolution that he's talking about, and claiming all this is a huge haircut, I want to please ask honorable member to study what cost this. Then he'll know whether with this resolution we are doing a better thing, or if he had left it high and dry, whether the value of these companies would have been ever realized, or they all would have become junk in a junkyard. What is going to help the economy? We need to understand that. But coming from honorable member Sanjay Singh, I am unable to resist the temptation, and therefore I will have to say.
Ma'am, help if you can resist. Because if it is temptation, then the best and most wholesome is to resist it.
To resist it, sir?
Yeah.
No, but I would, for the benefit of the House, say it, sir.
That yes.
Here's an honorable member of Parliament who's saying this. I'm not even talking about the present situation in his party, but before they won the election. And I say this with a sense of responsibility and a pain in my heart. didn't they say they had a sack full of evidence against that former Delhi chief minister, a lady chief minister? A sack full of evidence. We can send her to the jail. That much material I have on her corruption. I want to ask, where is that sack now? Where is that sack full of evidence? It was all false claims. They went on speaking about it and somehow distracted the minds of the people. Today, they are talking about those companies for whom resolution is being made possible so that the economy can benefit. I don't know whether the sack full of evidence was evidence at all. Assume they were evidence. Why are you not using it now? And this party, which Honorable Sanjay Singh represents, didn't do any of that, gave false promises. If anything, I would like to ask him, it's an allegation which is now in the court. How much loss has the Delhi's government exchequer has faced because of the faulty liquor policy? It is a matter of the court. But I'm asking, you're worried about the haircut? You're worried about how much government of India and the public money is being lost because of the haircut? I'm asking, how much did Delhi government lose because of your faulty policy, liquor policy? So when this is there before honorable member, I would want him to have some kind of a discretion to understand what exactly is going on. Sir, finally, there's been this point about this cancer medicine, about which, of course, even the first speaker, Vivek ji, mentioned. But Harish Biran of the IU, you raised the point about the cancer drugs should be made custom duty-free, and all cancer-related machines should also be exempted. I want to say, sir, our approach since 2021 has been that we progressively relieve all the life-saving drugs and medicines which are particularly imported for personal use. We've already exempted all of them. And there are many more steps taken. That particular name, I remember, Zolzeng Ma and Wiltip So, have been the spinal muscular atrophy, about which Honorable Member Vivek Tanka spoke, have all been now removed from the burden of customs duty, sir. So I suppose with that, I would have addressed most of the issues, except for the 4 questions of Jairam Ramesh, sir. The 4 engines, about which 1 engine I had already spoken. Private investment is stagnating, is his feeling. I want to highlight the fact, sir. Private sector investment has been increasing since the pandemic. It is rising from 3.8 lakh crore in the pandemic year 2020-21 to 4.9 lakh crore in 21-22 to 6.1 lakh crore in 22-23. So gross fixed capital formation, which is an indicator of investment and new value added to the economy, it is expected to be the largest GDP growth driver in this year. And therefore, with a percentage contribution of 44.9%, the GFCF is a real instrument through which we are seeing faster growth since the pandemic induced contraction set in. Also, sir, by private non-financial corporations, the gross fixed capital formation increased from 24.17 lakh crore in 21-22 to 28.95 lakh crore in 22-23. 19.8% increase at current prices. So that answers about one of the engines, sir. The other engine I had already spoken about. I'll talk about the manufacturing in particular. That is by itself, it is part of the engines which have to work. Gross value added at 14.3%. And in that is in February of financial year 23, and an output share of 35.2% during the same period. Manufacturing gross value addition grew by 9.9% in 23-24. So the high frequency indicators performance, such as the HSBC India Purchase Manager Index PMI for manufacturing, which has been expansionary for 36 consecutive months, which is 3 years, it is expanding in the expanding territory only. This has to be contrasted, sir, with the situation under the UPA, when manufacturing activity stagnated for 8 consecutive months in 2013, that is May 13 to December 13, it was only in contraction territory. Whereas now, we are seeing for 36 months, it is only in the expansion territory. And it is therefore no surprise, sir, that in the budget speech, interim budget speech of 2014-15, the year when elections happened and the regime was changed, meaning government was changed, the finance minister then had said, and I quote, "Manufacturing is the Achilles heel of the Indian economy. The deceleration in investment in manufacturing is particularly worrying," unquote. That's the quote then. Whereas now I'm showing you how GVA, PMI, all of them are doing well. So we've also come up with a PLI scheme for 13 sunrise sectors. Even that is bearing results. Telecom, particularly telephone manufacturing, I don't need to elaborate on that, sir. Defense production is another area in which we are really doing very well. Under our government, total defense exports during 2004-5 to 13-14, which was earlier government, was only 4,312 crores, whereas what it is now, total defense export is 88,319 crores for the period between 14-15 and 23-20. The last point, sir, is the private consumption. Is that stagnating? No, it's not stagnating. It is actually, if you take the indicators, sales of passenger vehicles increased by 8.4% year on year. Highest ever mark is 4.22 million. The Indian aviation industry has recorded its highest ever domestic passenger traffic for a half year. Between January and June 2024, Indian airlines, meaning airlines in India, carried 79.35 million passengers. It is also reported that the rural growth, sir, particularly of two-wheeler industry, domestic two-wheeler, because if I talk of passenger vehicles, they'll say, oh, you're talking of SUVs. No, I'm talking of two-wheeler. The domestic two-wheeler industry for the year 24 witnessed a total sales volume of 17.97 million units, reflecting a growth of 13%. Three-wheeler sales, which is largely used by small businesses, registered best ever sales of nearly 6,32,500 units, which is a 57% growth. All this cannot happen if the rural demand is not high. So I think I've largely answered most of his questions. Rural wages are not stagnating. Rural wages rose at about 5% every month year on year, 23-24. Agriculture's wage rates have grown it grew by 7.4% for men and 7.7% for women. So with that, I think, sir, I've answered most of the questions. No, thank you very much.
I'll go. Honorable members, normal practice is that after there is reply, I go to the next item. Since the Honorable Minister has volunteered to respond to the issue related to levy of GST on policies, I will give that extraordinary permission with a caveat that this will not be a precedent. Otherwise, the good gesture of the Honorable Finance Minister will always be a problem for any chair that at that point of time, this was allowed. So before I call upon Derek O'Brien, sir, my request is specific pointed issue with respect to levy of GST on policies. No, Arvind. Anyone disturbing, we have reached a consensus outside also. Anyone who disturbs a speaker forfeits several privileges. Please, only Derek O'Brien and the Honorable Minister to respond. No one else. I'll come to you, John Bitas, later on. Yes, sir.
right when you said that after the minister responds, extraordinary that the member of the opposition can ask for a clarification.
I didn't say that. Let me be clear.
Or words to that effect.
No, 1 second.
Yes,
Because 1 second. I'll give you. What I said is very categorical. What I say is, number one, this is not a practice emanating from chair. Number two, it does not create a precedent. Number three, it has happened because the Honorable Minister has volunteered. And number four, because the chair has agreed. It does not lie with any of members here. So that is clearly understood. You may now ask pointed question or questions.
Before I ask that, sir, all of us sitting here also indulged for 1 hour, 12 minutes. We made 3 attempts to request the minister to yield, and through you, sir, because the minister did not yield, we did not press for it, we sat down. That was also a precedent that the minister would yield. But, and it's fair enough, she's more comfortable in a flow of 1 hour, 12 minutes, we did not push for the minister yielding, sir.
Yes, good. One second.
God.
No, I love you. In this also, since we are moving in a, one second. Honorable members, since we are moving in a decorous groove, we did excellently. But the best practice still would be that if the Honorable Minister is on legs and someone wants to intervene, raising of the hand is good enough. Standing is against the rules. So you said then you took the seat. So let us follow those. Now, Derek O'Brien can ask what he seeks to ask with the Honorable Minister straight, through me.
Through you, sir. Sir, 45 crore Indians, let me finish. I did not disturb anybody.
No one can interrupt. I'm here.
Thank you, sir.
No one will interrupt you.
45 crore Indians we call are the middle class, affected by this 18% GST from health and medical insurance. This is not something which was brought here by Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman this year. I conceded that in my speech. So this is not we win, you lose, we win. No. This was there since 2017 when the shift took place.
She said, Honorable Minister.
Yes, it was there even before. It is not about what happened before 2014 or not. Whatever be that, it has been brought up this time in Parliament. Unfortunately, the Finance Minister used a phrase today, but we can maybe consider and remove it, quote unquote, some chief minister. She is more than some chief minister. Sir, some chief minister is a little dismissive, but I'm not making a point because it's not about point. Sir, hear me out. Sir, please hear me.
Please. No, honorable members, please. And now please ask the question.
Right, sir.
Ask the question.
So for these 45 crore Indians who want this to be taken out, which was there from 2017, this is our first point. We also know a little that this can't be done in Parliament. It has to be done to the GST Council, and that's my point. And that is where the minister has told us the composition of the GST Council, which we are also aware. But I want to ask the minister with these 3 sentences, is there anything which I'm saying which is incorrect about the GST Council in its present form? 1, the union government has a weightage of 1/3 voting weightage in that GST Council, union government on its own. The GST Council is made up of members, one state representative per state, 1 member per state. My point is, sir, 2/3 of those states are run by the NDA government. Sir, leave these technicalities aside, leave it aside, who wrote, who didn't write. For these 45 crore Indians, please consider removing the health because it's not only about one member, two members. Sir, that is one. And the second I'm not even making an issue about was the white paper on my state, because the white paper was not mentioned, so it will remain a blank paper. That's fine. That's all, sir. Thank you.
John Bitas, you can answer both together.
Yes.
Like you have done
Thank
on
you,
the bills.
sir.
Both the bills together. Dr. John Bitas.
Sir, to put the matter in correct perspective, I will segregate this into 3 points. First is that when you are talking in terms of yielding, there is a practice, sir. 1 second, sir. There is a practice here. Ministers are at liberty to intervene when members are speaking. They are at liberty. But when members want to intervene, they will never yield. It should be even. It should be even.
Take your seat.
Sir, first part. Second part.
Derek obliged me, you do. I have never, ever interrupted a member unless he has yielded even for ministerial intervention. Intervention by minister or a member depends on the speaker, whether he is a member or a minister. John, now make your point.
Sir, you understood what I meant, right? Sir, you understood and the whole house understood what I meant.
Good, fine. Go ahead.
Second point is that, see, with regard to petroleum products, we all know that the states have to agree. But minister has made statements that if the states agree, I am ready. In that case, my question to the Honorable Minister is that, what is the perspective of the union government? And the third part, sir, is that she made a statement by saying that without the permission of Gadkari ji, someone put out that. Is it the version of Honorable Minister Mr. Gadkari or her version?
Honorable Minister, you are requested by the chair, unless you so opt, to respond to the issue raised by Derek O'Brien, because I had allowed issue related only to policies, and Derek has raised issues directly on policies. Please. John Bitas has digressed. Derek.
Sir, the composition of the GST Council is what I said, and that's what was repeated by the honourable member. 1/3 is centre, 2/3 is states, and then to say, oh, the states, 2/3 of that 2/3 is all BJP ruled. I've also named, and in the GST Council also, sir, since 2017, decisions except once were all taken on consensus basis. They have never been in a dispute. No state looks at it from the point of view, I come from this state and therefore I can't accept this particular tax proposal. In fact, there the question is, how do we deal with taxation, revenue collection, and not burdening people? That is why, if item by item, I'm willing to sit with any honorable member who wants, or even come to this house, item by item, I will compare with what prevailed as tax before GST and what it is now, to say it is lesser than what it was before GST. So there is no divergence of view in the council, except for once, sir. There has never been this issue of, oh, we all belong to BJP, we are doing one decision, others do. No, we never. And I respect the GST Council for that very good, amicable environment that they provide. So I hope that answers.
I shall first put the motion regarding consideration